What's good? What's good? Let me send this out. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Let me keep sending out this link real quick. What's good? What's good? I'm just sending out the link to everybody real quick. Give me a second. Live. Nasty Nas. What's good? What's good, everybody? Good morning. Good morning. How we feeling today? What's good? Geraldo, glad to have you here, man. Did you go ahead and put some money into your live account? Yeah, for those of you who are on here, if you were plugged in with us last week, we started the $100 challenge live account with the whole team just to give everyone an opportunity to participate. I know everyone doesn't have like thousands of dollars on hand or a couple $100. So I'm like, okay, let's do just $100. Let's do $100. So if you were plugged in last week, you were able to catch these NAS buys here. I was really looking to catch it in here. When I wanted to go crazy and just load up in here, but we never really made it that far. We got so close, but price played out fairly well. It's up over 700 pips, right? Obviously, with this account, we're not going crazy with the leverage, but you see, still plays out the same way. Still plays out the same way. And right now, yesterday we caught some buys in here. Let me zoom out real quick. Let me zoom out real quick. So right now I'm on the monthly on NAS. Let's start with US 30 real quick. You see US 30 on the monthly chart. We're still breaking, still continuing to break all-time highs, still continuing to be this high up in the market, right? We're still up here. Look at NAS. We're kind of far below. We still have some space to go. We have over 1,200 pips before we break the all-time highs again. Last time we did that was around the beginning of the year, right here. So, NAS looks like it's kind of far behind US 30 and then S&P, very similar. It looks like it's US 30 first, S&P second place, and then NAS is the lagging, the lagging one. It's in the back. But as we see on the monthly chart, we are still pretty bullish. I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh, we're at all-time highs. The market's gonna sell off." If it does, great. But I want to see evidence. I want to see proof. I don't want to just go based off what the people are saying or the news is saying. I want to see the Carfax. I want to see the clear-cut evidence. Okay, I want to see. The reason why I say that is because even if you go back in time and we look at this all-time high before we, sold off dramatically, we saw the setup. We saw price give us the setup. Because if you look at what an uptrend is, we have higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. That's an uptrend. Higher highs and higher lows. Higher high, instead of making a higher low, we made a lower low. So now, instead of continuing creating higher highs and higher lows, instead of continuing to create the uptrend, which is a series of higher highs and higher lows, we changed character by instead of creating another higher low, we made a lower low. So once that happens, that told us that price wanted to go lower. And once that happened, by breaking beneath these lows, we got one last retest and then sold off. And then did it again, sold off. okay? And we're not really getting that too clearly here on the weekly. Like, I would love for me to really sell NAS. I would have to see, I would have to see this. And even then, I wouldn't sell it, but with higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, I would need to see price give me a lower low beneath this. And I'll be like, okay, price may want to like sell off a little bit more and go a little bit deeper. And then at that point, that's where I'll be looking to catch the next swing buys. I will let price drop, do its thing, and I'll catch the next possible, buys to continue in the uptrend. But right now, we're not really seeing that, especially on the higher time frames. You may see it like on the daily. Like here, I see it on the daily on NAS, right? We have higher high, higher low, higher high, and then we did make a lower low. We retested, sold off, but we sold off into a buy zone that may continue price in the upward direction. Okay, I was actually looking at a schematic earlier, and it had something like this: uptrend, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. But we don't know that in between all this, there's madness happening. So imagine this is like the monthly time frame of higher highs and higher lows. If you go down to the daily, I'm going to just replicate this, but on the daily chart, right? We have instead of making one straight line and one straight line down, it's actually like this. Like it's smaller structure in between, right? Like this. And then when price comes down, same thing, same thing. But instead of it going straight up, it plays around like this, and then it even gives you like a buy setup. So this is the same thing that we see on the left side, but this is the same thing just broken down into smaller pieces. And as you see here, we have certain breaks of structure that let us know price wants to go higher. We have certain breaks of structure that lets us know price wants to go lower. But just because we see all this madness in between, it doesn't excuse the fact that on the higher time frames, we're still making higher highs. I hope that makes sense. Hope you guys are following along with that one. But I'll actually drop the picture in the chat after this call. But I have a perfect example of what that looks like. So let's see what we're talking about here on NAS. As of right now, we're still pushing bullish. The reason why I like the idea of price going higher is because, like I said before, we did tap into this buy zone. We had liquidity. We swept the lows, and then we broke above right here, and then we came back with this wick back into the same zone, and now we're still pushing. Okay, and even if you draw the Fibonacci from that low that was created all the way to the highs here, you see that we had a beautiful retracement back in between the 50% 618. It's a very solid move down at a nice discount to then continue price. And if you were with us last week, we actually caught this move up. Right, we caught this move up. We're still in this trade of over 700 pips, pretty much right there. So we're in there like somewhere. And just to get more confirmation, just to solidify what we're doing, we would need to see a change of character. We would need to see price break above this level to confirm more bullishness, right? We have consolidation, and then we sweep the lows, so we need to break above these highs, okay? And that will confirm price wants to go higher. Once that happens, yeah, we're good. So I know we have today at 11 a.m. Pacific time, the federal funds rate. Allegedly, they're going to cut whatever it is or raise it or who knows. But that's going to determine whether or not we are in a recession, quote unquote. Right? Warren Buffett said that we're about to hit a recession worse than 2008. We have a lot of bleak news So we'll see what they want to do. What is the fear and greed index say? Fear and greed index right now. Oh wow, yesterday it was at neutral. Now it's at greed. So they're saying that a lot of people are getting greedy in the market. People are not taking profits. They're just very greedy and hungry. Yesterday, this was literally right in the middle. And the week before that, it was leaning more towards fear. So I guess seeing the market recover the way that it is allowing people to be a little bit more greedy, a little bit more greedy. We'll see. But that's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for that confirmation. If you go back to entries here, um, this is what I put in the chats yesterday. We had some pretty solid price action. Again, we saw price giving us consolidation here. It's very small consolidation. Then we swept the lows, and then we broke above the highs right here. And then once price came back in here, I loaded up for price to go higher. And even on the smaller time frame, if you dissect this, there's even more setups. I go to the 5 minute here. It looks nasty, but this is a setup. Maybe it looks better on the line chart. Still the same, but if you draw the structure, right? The low at this wick, the high at that wick, we swept the lows with the longer wick to the bottom, and then we did break above these highs right here. Okay, so that's a setup. So when price came back down, which it did, right here, and when price came down, the whole area was valid. Okay? It may not look the prettiest, it may not look the sexiest, but that's still the structure. Right? That's still the structure. I know one thing that helped me learning this because I really want to make sure you guys understand structure and understand what to look for. But one thing that helped me was when I was learning this, we have a box around the consolidation. Imagine this is your box. We have this support and resistance. Price not really moving. It's inside of a range. We would use this range as an indicator. Okay, for buys, the price for buys, price has to break below the box first and then above it. Right? So keep dragging the box. So that was buy. Right? You have a range, you have a box, price breaks below first and then above, you're buying. You're buying. And that's usually what happens. Price comes back in here, takes off. Sometimes it may go lower down here, right? If you draw your bid from the manipulation below to the high, you wait for the price to come back to 50%. Well, 68, you have this whole area here, whole area of you. And some people use the 50%, top. Some people even use the bottom. I use the top 50% and the bottom. I don't know what they want to do. Yeah, I get in always at the first touch of the zone. Having a hard time hearing. Sorry. My fault. Let me know if you guys have any issues. If you guys can't hear me, don't just let me talk and you guys can't even hear me. Right? Where was that? Yeah, I always get in at the first touch. Right here. I get in at the first touch here. I also get in at the 50% and I get in at the very bottom of the zone. Those are always going to be my 3 entries. If maybe you don't want to do that, maybe you want to do something else. The other thing that you can do is wait for price to come back into your zone and give you another setup and take that one. And if you do that way, you even have a smaller stop loss. Like let's say you did that, you did the same thing, you had your box, same thing. Now you have a smaller stop loss. You can do more risk. That's another thing that you want to see. Like just because price came back into your zone doesn't mean It doesn't mean that you have to win the trade. Like just because price comes back in here doesn't mean automatically you won. Let's say price comes back in here. Actually, let me give y'all a quick pop quiz. Let me see what y'all would do in this situation. Let's say price is doing this. You're getting higher highs, higher lows, right? And then you see something like this. Boom. Right? You see something like this, and then price works its way back up. What are you doing in this situation? What are you doing in this situation? Someone let me know in the chat. What are you doing here in the situation? Are you buying or selling? Let me know. Let me know. You're selling. Okay. Who else? Let me know. Let me know. Buying on a lower time frame for short entries, buying. Okay. Buying. All right. Why? Why are you selling? Why are you buying? I know most people, when they see this, they're like, oh, okay, I see the setup here, right? Boom. So they drag the box out. They're like, oh, look, we're back in the sell zone. I'm about to sell. But, little do you know is, of course, you want to look left to get right, but don't let this distract you. What's current price action doing? What do you see right here? You see an inverted. You see a buy setup right at your sell zone. So what do you do? What do you do? Like you see a buy setup right at your sell zone. Are you gonna sell or are you gonna buy? In this situation, I would buy because if you wanted to sell, it would make more sense for you to wait until you saw a sell setup inside of your sell zone. I see a lot of people, oh, I got stopped out. I don't know why. What am I doing wrong? Maybe you have to wait for your setup to happen again inside of your zone to confirm. And I get it. Maybe you set buy limits and sell limits. I do the same thing. Sometimes you may just get clapped. You're not going to win every trade. But if you're able to look at the market when price hits your zone because you have an alert set, you're able to see, okay, when price got to my zone, what did it look like? Was it a buy setup that it looks like, or was it a sell setup? Or is it still consolidating? Maybe it's not even ready. You don't know yet. Right? So always look at this. And you can back test this for yourself. You can back test this on any chart. You'll see it for yourself. I've seen this several times where price got to the zone and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna sell it. Only because, oh well, the left side gave me a sell setup, blah blah. But at the end of the day, when you zoom out as well, this is still bullish. It's still creating higher high, higher low. Higher high, like it's still overall higher high, higher low, but we just, got lost in the sauce because maybe we were on a smaller time frame. But when you zoom out, you see that it's still making higher highs and higher lows. So that's my TED talk for the day. Thanks for coming. But let's see what's happening currently. It's 6:19. The market opens here. New York session in 11 minutes. I still like this area for buys. let me see if I can find a clearer setup for you, just so you see what I see. All right, this is the same area. At first, this was the original zone. This was the original zone, right? Consolidation here, right? And then we swept the lows, broke above the highs. And then we came back into the zone multiple times. A lot of people, I keep hearing people say, oh, if price comes back to my zone, I'm not going to take the trade, which is fine. Like, I get it. But price is allowed to come back to your zone multiple times. Okay. Price and the institutions know that people are scared to enter the same zone more than once. So they know that. And because they know that, they'll do it multiple times just to make you think, oh, well, it already hit my zone and it already mitigated and it's done. That's irrelevant. If you backtest any pair, if you even backtest Bitcoin and gold, you'll see it hit the zone multiple times before it takes off. All right, I'll show you a prime example. I love using this example. I love it, especially on Bitcoin. If you go back here and people say, oh well, you can't time the bottom and you can't time the top, you're da, da, da. Like you actually can. Not to the T, but you can see it. Like, because this was an area where Bitcoin was just consolidating. People gave up. They thought, oh, Bitcoin's done, blah, blah, blah. But little did you know that this was giving you a setup. It gave you the consolidation. We swept the lows and we broke above the highs. So when you draw your box, boom, we came right back in here with a wick, filled the imbalance, and then took off. Took off. Okay. And if you want to go a step further, you can either use this high, you can use this high here, or you can use this one, right? The very last high before price flew. And as you see here, price came back. After we broke above the highs with this full body candle, price came back to the zone one time, two times, three times. Imagine saying, hey, price already hit my zone. It mitigated already, 6,000 pips, 24% gains. I'm good. It comes back to your zone weeks later. Imagine you enter a trade and then let's see, like 2 months later, it comes back to your zone. Are you gonna get in again? Or are you gonna be like, oh well, you know what? It already hit my zone. It already mitigated. I'm done. I don't trust it anymore. On to the next. No. Why? Because if this is your stop loss down here, if this is your stop loss, right? Because again, we always put our stop loss at the bottom. You have consolidation. We sweep the lows, break above the highs, right? You mark up the highs, and then you mark up the lows, and then your stop loss is always going to be that lower wick, right? So if your stop loss is this lower wick and price comes back to your zone 27 times, you should enter. And the reason why is because your stop loss hasn't even been hit. So like what justification do you really have? Like do you not trust your trade? Like the setup is still there. The setup has not been invalidated. The only thing that would invalidate this setup here is the stop loss being hit, but it wasn't. So when people say, oh, if it hits your zone more than once, don't get in, to me, that just doesn't make sense because you're not using your setup properly. You're prejudging the market. You don't know what the market wants to do, but we do know if your stop loss is hit, you lost the trade, right? But if it wasn't hit, how could you have lost the trade? Like imagine setting a buy limit here and then like setting it and forgetting it, you walking away. You wouldn't even have time to take money out of the market after it mitigated because you weren't even watching it. You had your entry here at the top of the zone. And look, Sonia, you said, do I get in first touch? Yeah, this was the first touch. Price didn't even get down here to the lower zones. Sometimes price will leave an imbalance. Sometimes price will leave a starting point. Sometimes it'll leave equal lows and equal highs in liquidity and never come back. Right? This is equal highs, equal lows here. Someone will say, "Oh, well, there's equal lows. Price has to come back and sweep the like." Maybe not. We don't know. Price never has to hit any type of zone that you have marked up. It doesn't have to do that. So I just like to keep a okay, this is my whole zone here. Anything can happen. Here's my stop loss. Let's make it happen. I just want to share like a broader perspective on that because I hear like a lot of limiting beliefs inside the trading space. Oh, it has to do this or it can't do that, and da, da, da. I'm just like, that's very, it's very limiting to yourself. I don't like to limit. No limits. No limit. But let's look here. Let's look here. And we have 4 more minutes. I like this area too. When price broke above those highs, haven't come back yet. We always could. I know we have federal funds rate later, so we'll see. Boom, swept it, broke above. Haven't necessarily come back. This can be a target. Price could come back here, clap all this, come back here, play around, give us another setup and go crazy. Right? We don't know. But as of right now, when I look at this area here and I zoom in, I see setups. Right? There was one here that we caught after breaking above these highs here. Boom. We caught that entry. Stop loss here at this wick. Right? This can obviously get clapped. We don't know. Right? This is some type of consolidation on a smaller time frame. And we sweep the lows, break above the highs. We came back 3 times, price took off. So that's why I entered this trade. I also dropped this in the chats. And then as you go down to smaller time frames, we have more setup in here as well. Once we broke above these highs here, that was another confirmation of more bullishness. Again, it's not the best looking, but we did have some type of consolidation. We swept lows that took us into the previous buy zone, broke above the highs, came back, filled some of this imbalance, order block, starting point, mitigation, to then continue. My issue is my entry point. Your entry point. So what is your entry point? Are you using the whole zone, or are you trying to find like a specific, order block or imbalance inside of the zone? Because sometimes I feel like if you're too specific, it's just gonna drive you crazy. Like it's very hard to be that specific in the markets. I know people want to have the smallest stop loss and not really put themselves at risk at the 50%. I mean, 50% is good. It's preference. Yeah. It's very hard to be that specific. It's hard. Like it's just too hard to be that specific. That's why I just use the whole zone. I just make it simple. I don't want, yeah, like anything in the zone is valid because it is. It is. If you can be specific once price gets into your zone and then you see more setups on the 1 minute. Like once this happens, you should be using all of it. All of it. And if you want to, even if you draw your fib, you can look for more zones in between, but I would just use everything. Just use it all. Because you never know. Right here at the top, boom, entry. Right? Or you can wait for the 50% entry. Or wait for it to come lower. Or even lower, But your stop loss is all the way down here. So anything can happen in between that. Anything. So as of now, let me see what we're looking at now. We did just break this structure and create another inverted. So, but you said because somehow I have order pinning and it gets collapsed, or maybe just not something I'm seeing. Yeah, or maybe you can't win every trade. Maybe you had a setup on the 1 hour, but on the 4 hour, the zone was a lot bigger. So you didn't see the whole picture and you had a smaller setup. I see a lot of people when they show their charts, they're like zoomed in like this, which is cool. But then you gotta be like, all right, well, what's happening overall? Like, what do you see? So I always like to send like like a higher time frame chart, and then like a medium time frame chart, and then a smaller time frame, just so you get the whole picture. You gotta zoom, you gotta like zoom out first. But I always like to send all three perspectives, like the macro and the micro. Like, okay, what's happening out here and what's happening in the middle and what's happening like very close, just to get all the evidence, as much evidence as possible. Give me all of it. So the market is officially open. That happened to me as well. How long would you wait before deleting a pending order? I wouldn't delete it unless price is gone. It flew like 1,000 pips from my zone, and I'll just delete it. But if it comes back near it, I'll put it back. That's why I have my alerts. But let's say I had a pending order on NAS, like down here in this area, and let's say price already flew. I would delete these pending orders because it's price is already like over 1,000 pips away. You can put if price comes back, you can definitely put the pending orders back, but I'm not gonna have it on there because then it just looks ugly on the chart, just taking up space, and I just want to just make it clean. But yeah, the market is open. If the price comes back into this zone here, I wouldn't mind taking it. Or if it even comes back into here, wouldn't mind taking it right there. Let's see. Let's make this more clear. Yeah, so if price comes back in here, like I'm definitely like I'm good. I don't really need I could get more entries, but if you didn't get any, then yeah, go ahead and dive in there. Looking at this though, did we break above these highs? We did. We did. And the reason why these highs are important is because if you mark this up from this low with the wicks to this high, we did sweep those lows and then we did break above the highs. So that's our setup right there. You can draw like a fib from the low to these highs. Actually, no, not that one. It already did it because you had to do it from these highs. And it came back to the 786 and took off. Super clean. Price hit the low, the high, retraced 78%, and then flew. So that makes sense. So now you have to draw the fib from this low to these highs. And you see what lines up with the 50% is an imbalance starting point. Like you have more zones of entry. But we'll see what happens here. If price does get back down here around 19,458, yeah, solid. Let's say news comes out and we just clap all this, like this whole zone just gets clapped. That's fine. That's fine. We'll just catch lower buys down here. But as of right now, this is giving me bullish structure. So I'm not going to ignore it. I'm not going to ignore it. Of course, everyone always wants the lower entries. We all do. But I'm not going to ignore it either. All right, it's back in the zone. It literally just tapped it. Let's see if it gets a deeper one. See if it goes deeper. Right now we're on the 15-minute. Now we're on the 5. And even if you look here, we have another setup on the 5. Right, we had the low, the high, swept the lows barely, and then broke above. So when price came back in here, it made sense, right? That would have been your zone right there. Stop loss here at that wick. So it makes sense as to why price flew over 60 pips because it came into the zone. And then in between, I'm sure there's like a specific order block or something imbalance that it mitigate off of. You know, it's I guarantee you it's in there. But at least we have the zone first. All right. So it's doing its thing. Even if I went down to the 1 minute, this even looks like another setup right here. I see this low with the wick. I see these highs, and we did come lower and then break above. So they're playing games right here. It's a lot of buying pressure, as you see. Maybe you were able to enter in. Maybe you got in. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you're just observing today. Maybe you're waiting for the news at 11 a.m. That's going to be in about 4 hours. We'll see. I have a feeling news is going to like maybe come lower, sweep a lot of buyers with like a wick, and then fly. You know, we'll see though. We shall see. So far, so good though. It's doing its thing. See if it flies. What do y'all think is gonna happen with FOMC? You think it's gonna be a crazy drop, or we're gonna just continue higher? I keep hearing the market is gonna tank during like the elections around that time. So we have another 2 months. We'll see. Very, very interesting. Let's see what the market wants to do. 637. It's gonna go lower. It's gonna stay up here. What is let's see what US 30 is doing. Oof. That's a 5 minute though. Let's zoom out a little bit. All right, so this is currently like all-time highs. All right, we're sitting at all-time highs right here. And as we see here, what do we have? We have higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. So this is still like a mini uptrend. Haven't really like had a nasty change of character to the downside yet. Let's see. Sheesh, look how clean this was. It's nasty. We broke above these highs, gave us a nice inverted. Broke above here, came back with the wick, filled the imbalance, gone. Price flew. Sheesh. Yeah, this looks good. This line here, the black line is the previous all-time highs. So we're literally sitting right at it. I guarantee you there's probably a nice little inverted here somewhere. That's why price is holding up pretty well. Yeah, it's like right in here. And then SPX, same thing, very similar. There's a nice little inverted here as well. Not the best looking. Never be afraid to go to the line chart as well. I was actually looking at this the other day. This is clean. Consolidation, swept the lows, broke above the highs, came back with a wick 3-4 times, filled the imbalance, and then took off. So this is good for the buys, right? That whole zone. I'm looking at this wick here, this wick. Drag it out, stop loss here. Came back to the zone a couple times, did its thing. Super solid. If it comes lower back in here, great. Let's see. Yeah, it's back in here. So maybe you guys didn't get in, create a high and then drop. Someone said sweep and then go up. Yeah, that's what I think too, Miguel. I think you'll see a nice sweep just to capture some more liquidity and then go up again. But then Richard's like, nah, fam, we're gonna create a high and then drop. Yeah, it can go either way. 50-50. 50-50. Again, the reason why I'm bullish is because I just keep seeing higher highs and higher lows. Higher highs and higher lows. Higher highs, higher lows. I haven't really seen. I know a downtrend is more so like lower lows and lower highs. So since I don't really see that, I'm gonna continue going up. Continue bullish. So again, those of you who started the $100 challenge with us last Wednesday, we're up, 36%. But then we're floating at 60% gains. Nothing crazy. We didn't do nothing crazy. Took a couple 0.01s on NAS Mini. Nothing crazy. But this can be a nice little compound account. Like once this gets to like 500 or 1,000, like don't be surprised. You're like, damn, I should have joined the challenge, bro. Could have been up. Could have been up. Especially with the minis, NAS Mini. You don't have to trade the regular NAS. I know one trade with that can wipe the whole account. 100 pips, you're done. Oh, even here on the 1 hour, what does this look like? This looks like a nice little order block. I like that. Very solid. Very solid. I know I had some people that were like, hey, I see a sell set up here. All right, we have the sell. Boom. Change character. But that was just used to get us into the buy zone. Sometimes you got to have a sell setup that will take you to the buy setup to then go higher. So when I see like a sell setup right on top of the buy, I'm just like, and we're still bullish. I'm like, maybe that's just used to get us lower. We don't know. We don't know. Let me see what it looks like on the 15. I like that rejection. Look at the rejection, bro. Like, what happened here? Why is it rejecting like this? We saw it sweep these lows. We came beneath these lows, captured some more liquidity, and then price used this money. All these people stop loss to take price higher. And again, that was another buy setup. It's the same buy setup from before. If I were to mark up this being the stop loss, these being the lows that were swept right there, like that black, and then these are the highs that we broke above right there. So that's your whole zone. We don't know where in the zone it wants to respect, but at least we got the zone. At least we can see it. Can you see the zone? Oh, you can? Great. If you can't, if you guys are having trouble seeing the setup, let me know. I can show y'all more examples. But so far, so good. 644. Maybe price is struggling a little bit because we have this imbalance right here. So sellers are, holding it down just a little bit. We'll see there's a nice little starting point or an order block here, and your fair value gap or your imbalance, like whatever the people want to call it these days, just to make you more confused. Go ahead. Got 16 names for one thing. It's crazy, you know. But once you learn it all, you realize it's the same shit. I think people just want to have like clout. They're like, you know what? I made this up. I made this version. It's the same shit, bro. Stop. Stop. I don't want to hear it. It looks good though. I like the reaction. Super solid. Let me check on Bitcoin real quick. I know I'm over here just on Nas. I see this right here. That was a nice break of structure. All right, this is we swept these lows right there, and then this would have been the stop loss right in there. Why is that? Right, boom, boom. It's consolidation. We swept it, broke above. Possible retest to go higher, and then this right here came from the left. If you look over here, another setup, consolidation, swept the lows, broke above the highs, came back for that retest, gone. Same thing in here. You could have used maybe this as your break. I think I used this one though. I was looking right here because since we already broke above, I was like, all right, that's still valid. But I did like, we swept these lows right there. We broke above these highs. Stop loss was here. Price did touch the stop loss a couple times, but we never really like fully invalidated it. And even if this did get stopped out, like the actual setup was like down right here. Right. So this is how I actually took this trade yesterday. Let me see. Let me find it. Bitcoin. I think we're still in this trade. I already took one position out. Yeah, we're still in this trade. Yep, same thing. Price flew like 2,000 pips. And we took profit. After these highs were cleared, we took profit with one position, holding this one. Stop loss at break even. If it comes back, it is what it is. But I'm gonna hold it out. Maybe it'll continue. I see another setup right here. We had the low, the high, swept it, boom. So now we're heading back in here. So this can be a continuation. We'll see. If not, and we come all the way back down, it is what it is. We'll live to trade another day. But I'll put my alert here too, because I want to be alert. I want to be alert. Gold is up here chilling, still at all-time highs. No real signs of selling off. Maybe like on the smaller time frame, like the 1 hour, but that's not gonna convince me. Especially looking at all this. This is all inverted over here, like on the 15-minute. You see it inverted. It's all here. Looks very choppy. Yeah, you have some sells in here, some sell setups, but it's not enough for me to be like, "Yep, the whole market's gonna reverse." Like, no. We need more evidence. We would need to have price break beneath this whole structure here. We would need to have this be the consolidation, sweep the highs, and then break beneath the lows, come back and sell it. But even then, even if that happened, like, what are you selling off to? Like more buys down here? So you got to be careful. There's a lot of buys over here, a lot of inverteds that pushed price up. So yeah, it could probably sell off, but don't marry the sells to where you forget to, oh, well, I sold off, I made some money. Let me catch the next buys that's gonna take gold to 3,000. ETH and XRP are back at the previous levels. I'm guessing Bitcoin will do the same thing. Previous levels. Previous levels. Which previous levels do you mean? Right now, I see Ethereum inside this buy zone. Right there. Stop loss being this. What is this, the 1 hour? 2270. Boom. Yeah, I mean, it's at, wait, Ethereum's at 22,900. Or maybe it's different on your broker. But let me see. I need more specific information. You said it's at the previous levels, like an XRP. Like, what does that mean for Bitcoin? Like, what is Bitcoin's previous level? Like, I need more specific information. I need a chart. I need a chart. I need to see it. Yeah, Joe. Like, if you had like a chart comparison, okay, this is Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP. These are all the previous levels. What is it? Like it's very hard to visualize what you're saying. Let's see. Go back to NAS. What is it up to? So it did come back to the zone. Right. I don't know where specifically in the zone it wanted to hit, but at least I had the zone ready. So maybe y'all were able to enter off the zone. If you did, it's up, 20 pips. Yeah, you can't share your chart in YouTube, but you can share it like in the Powerhouse chat or the NAS chat, any chat, and then I'll take a look at it. So far, it's pretty good reaction. Pretty good reaction. Nothing crazy. If you took this trade, you're up like what, 15 pips. If you're doing a 1 to 3, right? Boom, at the top of the zone, stop loss, red line. You're risking 24 pips, 25 pips, and what's 25 times 3? 75. What's crazy? I saw this video where like some guy was going around asking people like basic multiplication. They're like, oh, what's 7 times 3? They're like, oh, shook. It's crazy. But yeah, let me stop. Oh, it's funny. I want to do that. I want to get like a microphone and just go around talking to people, asking them questions. So if you're in Cali, if you're in LA, let's link up. Let's do it. Let's make some content. Yeah, so far so good. Pretty solid movement. Let me know in the chat if you guys were able to take advantage of this setup here. Nothing too crazy. All right, just we still have news at 11 o'clock. We don't know what's gonna happen. Maybe price will come back in here and clap all this and then go higher, or maybe it'll go high and we don't know what it's gonna do, but at least we understand like the structure of the market. It looks good. Oh, I was looking at oil too. Actually, I took an oil trade too last week as well. I think I dropped it in the chat. Yeah, I did. It was literally right here. I saw this. I was like, oh, consolidation. We swept it, broke above. So then I literally entered like right here. And price, I took profit at these highs right there. And I'm glad I did because I was using this as my entry, this area here. That's the beginning of the zone. And the stop loss is all the way down here. So like when you use these zones, you have to be prepared to use all of it. You got to be prepared. And the reason why is because price can range in between this whole area here. So if that means you have to under leverage your trade, do that. Or if you don't want to use this whole zone, wait for price to give you like another setup somewhere here. And I believe it did. Oil gave another setup here. That's why I took it as well. Yeah, literally right here. So, that's the same zone we have marked up, right? Same thing. But once price got into the zone, I saw it gave me this right here. These were the lows. that were swept. These were the highs right here. Stop loss at this wick. And then when you drag it out, sheesh. Oh, when you drag it out, it came right back there perfectly. Perfectly. And boom. Price did its thing. So this is where I entered on oil. So yeah, I had the whole zone. I didn't know where it wanted to respect it, but once I saw another setup inside of the zone, it worked out. And if you look left, if you look at this area here, okay, why did price stop here besides giving me a setup? If you look directly to the left, what do you see? You see an imbalance. Imbalance. Makes sense. You have an imbalance. Price filled the imbalance, maybe even tapped into this order block. And this was even another setup here. And then it gave you the play. Price went crazy. I got out though at the highs, and then I'm glad because it came all the way back down to break even. Went up again, came all the way back down. See how many times price enters your zone? Most people wouldn't take this trade again. They'd say, oh no, it already hit my zone. It's already gone. Bro, who cares? Your stop loss wasn't hit. And look how many times it respected it. Multiple times. Like several times. But hey, you can back test it yourself. Don't just take my word for it. Back test this. You'll see it. It doesn't work all the time. Sometimes it'll hit your zone once, go, it'll come back and clap you. And you're like, damn, I'm never gonna take it off the same zone again. It's like, but if you back test, more than likely, just because it came back to your zone, like it's just maybe it wants more liquidity. Maybe it wants to sweep these lows inside of the zone. Maybe there was a starting point down here on the 1 minute chart that you couldn't see. Maybe it wanted to hit that. Like we just don't know. We just don't know. But the stop loss was never hit. So if you trust the setup, if you trust your trade, then stand on business. Stand on it. But right here, we're struggling to really push higher. The sellers don't want NAS to go higher. Even though if you look at all three on the monthly, if you look at all three indices on the monthly, as a US 30, we're at the top, very high up. NAS, we're pretty low. We're 1,000 pips away from all-time highs. So this to me has some space to go. I want to see this go to the all-time highs. And then the SPX, we're literally right there. So based off all three indices, NAS is lagging behind. So I want to see NAS get up there with US 30 and SPX as well. And just look at these wicks. Look how strong the bullish momentum is. Like price did come lower, but it immediately pushed away. Like that tells you that price just wants to push. Look at the starting point here or the order block. Very clean mitigation. On pushing. So we'll see. We'll see what they want to do. No promises here. But I hope it all makes sense. I hope y'all got some value from that. All right, I'm gonna let y'all go. I know we have a call with Mike Naff right now. He's about to dive deeper into this, give us some more plays, some more setups. Guys and girls, drop your charts in the chat. You know, like let's collaborate. Let's get some feedback. Let's grow together. Let's make some money together. Don't be shy. And then I'll see y'all next week. Let's get it.